Good morning. So, this shooting of Alex Pretti has got a lot of people jumping to conclusions. And I also jumped to a conclusion. I still believe that this was a quote unquote justified shooting. Not because I believe that he didn't have the right to have a gun, not because I don't believe that Alex Pretti has the right to defend himself as an American citizen. Not because I believe that you can't have your Second Amendment and your First Amendment at the same time. I believe that this was justified because of the assault that took place on the officer and then the resisting arrest that happened because of it. Now, does that mean that I am happy that he got killed? No. Do I wish that this had gone a different way? Do I think that it could have gone a different way very easily? Yes. Hindsight's 2020, and none of us were standing there knowing this guy was armed, trying to arrest him, and then seeing him make a quick movement, thinking he's going for his gun. Whether or not another gun went off, whether or not when they disarmed him, because they did disarm him first, whether or not the gun that they disarmed him went off or not all the officers saw him get disarmed. The officer that draws first and shoots first, that you can clearly see in the video, is behind Alex Pretti and to the right of the guy that disarms him. And he's looking down over his shoulder. And from that angle, somebody reached towards their waistband and you know they have a gun there, you're going to believe that you're getting drawn down on. I am sorry for the constant notifications. I have turned them off. I am not tech super savvy, okay? I'm working my way through this. Bear with me, guys. When you are put in a position to choose life or death decisions, and you are there opposed to somebody who has a weapon of life or death decision making, you are on edge, rightfully or wrongfully. That's the reality. As armed citizens, you have to have a very serious regard for how it makes you appear People are allowed to protest. People are allowed to carry their guns. People are allowed to be out in public with weapons. That is not a problem. The problem comes when you break the line from legal protest and violence. Legally, the moment that he shoved that officer in the state of Minnesota, in the city of Minneapolis, in that state specifically, and I can pull up the law on it, he was immediately revoked of the legal ability to carry a gun. In that moment. Now, do I agree with that? No. Okay, I told you guys I wasn't too tech savvy. There it came back up. Okay. All right. Maybe. All right. So, when we perceive that a law is on the books that is this way, and if we believe that it is an unjust law, it is our duty to get that taken care of, to get that law removed, repealed, replaced. Sorry, guys, I just noticed something. There. Bottom of the screen looked like I had a bar across it. This is the back of my laptop. Armed resistance. Pardon me for all the ums and ahs. This is off the cuff. Armed resistance to tyranny is something that the left has claimed we would never need. For about 70 years now, they've been trying to disarm us. And now all of a sudden, they want to get guns. I am not opposed to anyone owning guns. I believe that if you are an American, or even if you live in America legally, and you're not in prison, you should be allowed to own a gun. If you've done something so heinous as to where you shouldn't own a gun, they should have put you down like a rabid dog. Because that's what you do with people that you can't trust. If I can't trust you with a gun, I probably shouldn't trust you with a knife. If I can't trust you with a knife, I probably shouldn't trust you with a car. Definitely shouldn't trust you with household chemicals. And shouldn't trust you around my wife or my children. Probably wouldn't if it was me, right? So, that being the case, everybody should be armed. An armed society is a polite society. No one goes out committing crimes against people that can defend themselves. And when they do, they try to catch them off guard, right? Common sense. You don't see somebody just walk right up to a armored truck driver fully dressed in black with a assault rifle and body armor going all howdy-doody. Howdy-doody. What's going on? No, because that armored truck driver is going to see that person as a threat. Perceive that person as a threat. And then is probably going to respond to the threat. you never see crime being done to armed people. And like I said, when you do, it is by surprise. They try to catch the armed person slipping, as they would say. I'm going to share this out on X. See if we can't get any people in here. Have some people to talk to. Yeah. I am the person in the video, so I hope that X allows it to get out there and people to join. Oh, wrong thing. So, what I want people to think about when it comes to this Alex Pretti shooting is not whether or not he was armed legally, whether or not he was protesting. At what point does protest become active resistance or armed, violent resistance? Is it at the point where you put your hands on somebody? It is at the point where you block their vehicle? Is it at the point where you grab a hold of an innocent bystander? People claim he was trying to help her, but it looked like he was assaulting her, which is why it looked like the cops went ahead and grabbed him. It looked to me like he began assaulting her after being maced. So an appearance to a police officer is probably as important as reality. What something appears to be, what something is perceived to be, is probably as important to a cop as the reality of whatever the F is going on. If I perceive you as a threat, you are liable to receive more aggression. Whereas if I perceive you as a non-hostile, probably a lot less likely to receive aggression. You don't see a whole lot of women being drug out of cars by cops. Not nearly as common. It's because, as a general rule, women are generally perceived as non-threatening. So, what I think that we are facing here is the DHS, Greg Bovino, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, all of them want to say he wanted to do max damage. They are trying to protect their guys. I understand. I am not upset with them for that. However, That is not the truth. He was actively resisting arrest, physically resisting arrest. He had assaulted an officer. And he was armed. Those are realities. I never saw him draw his gun. I saw a flash of movement from him that looked like he reached for a gun. And then I saw and like a day later, 2 days later, I saw another camera angle. And it showed that his gun had already been removed. Whether or not he knew that his gun had been removed, whether or not he actually was reaching for something else, I don't know. But I do know that you can clearly see that he moves his right hand, his left hand holding the cell phone. You can clearly see he moves his right hand towards his waistline. I don't know where he was carrying. I don't know if he was appendix carrying. I don't know if he was carrying off the side. I don't know if he was pocket carrying. They say that he had a pistol with 2 extra magazines. Standard carry. That's not excessive. That's not trying to do maximum damage. That is trying to be prepared to defend yourself in a what-if scenario. So, and I'm not stating that he should have been shot. I think there was too much going on. I think the cop who pulled the gun had seen that same movement that I saw and where he was standing and how he was looking. I saw it from directly in front of that position. There's like 4 different camera angles. And the one that is directly in front of the guy who draws down and it looks like he executes Alex Pretti. That guy is looking over his shoulder, trying to keep an eye on his hands because he knows he's armed. Where he's at, he's got his knee on his lower back. And he is over the top of him, making sure he's not drawing his gun. At that same time, a guy comes in from the left side of him over here. He comes in and reaches in and disarms Alex Pretti. And when he disarmed Alex Pretti, people are saying the gun went off. I don't know whether it did or not. What I do know is right around that time, Alex Pretti moved his hand towards his waist. It's clearly seen on one of the angles. And that's why you hear the guy that was directly behind him say, gun, gun, gun. Bang. I think, we ran out of storage. All right, guys, I'm going to clear some space up. I'm going to hop off here. Ain't nobody jumped in here anyways. So, thank you guys for watching later on. Hope you enjoy the content.